Your songs are frequently played in Japanese FMs and otherwise, but not that frequent in the India. Yeah.
Well, see, in India we have a certain other section of entertainment which is covered more by the media, and that is changing.
Yeah.
It is not that, like, this interview is a perfect example of the fact that, you know, you've flown me all the way from Bangalore now to have an interview, and that's because attention is actually shifting to other forms of entertainment. To some extent, I do think that Bollywood has become as corporate as working in Infosys or Dalal Street. There is a certain formula, there are so much, this is the clients, and so the rules are becoming very fixed. The independent music scene at the same time is full of people who are just doing it for love, and that is actually spilling across. A lot of the people who are listening to music, because of the internet being such a wonderful thing that it is and spreading, a lot of people have access to music. Today I can say, like you said, you want to hear the song, I say go to www.motherjane.in. Somebody can see our videos, interviews, they can read the lyrics, they can actually watch photographs, clips of shows. You know, it actually makes it easy for us to reach the relevant people.
Okay.
And I think media is also beginning to start seeing that interest, that, you know, here is something that is not what I see every day.
No, but I think media to an extent does always look into things that are different. But
Right.
if you look in Kerala,
Right.
the non-film industry,
Right.
like the albums and stuff, it's the maximum is done out in Kerala.
Right.
Because you get a lot of musicians and non-musicians who are interested in this.
Right.
So why not do an album or some sort of a thing out in Kerala so that you can attract...
As in Malayalam film music kind of
No,
thing?
the in your style, in the rock style.
That is what we are doing. If you're asking me whether we're not singing in Malayalam, I personally apologize. I wouldn't be able to write good lyrics in Malayalam, and so it doesn't make sense for me. And another thing that to some extent, Malayalam is the language I speak home to my wife and my child or something, you know. English is what I speak to the world. And as a band, we are a band which has felt that we should speak to the world. See, music does not really have languages, but yeah, to some extent when I'm writing, it is easy for me to write in English, and so I just go ahead and write in English.
Okay, tell me some great moments you had with the band, performing in some place or something.
I would say one of the greatest moments was the first time we actually made our own song. For me, that rates among one of the highest things, because when I was actually trying to get out of the band saying that, you know, we're not even making our own music, so, you know, there's no point, we don't have a long-term relevance, and then Baiju said...
Initially, before Motherjane happened, what did you guys perform?
We were doing covers of Metallica, Maiden, and Pink Floyd and stuff like that. And I had just joined the band. Within 2 weeks, I was going to quit the band because I was working, and, you know, it didn't make sense for me to cover Maiden for the next 10 years, because today, you know, another bunch of young kids can do it with much more energy than I can. So there's no relevance. But they can't do a Motherjane song like we can today. And so the first time that we said, let's make our own song, you know, when Baiju said that, I still remember, I was like, what? Make our own song? Because I was an average Joe, you know. I was an engineer working in Cochin, who happened to meet this band and sing for them for 2 weeks, and somebody saying, let's make our own song. I was like, are you crazy? I didn't say that, but I think that was my call. But unlike a lot of people, I answered that call. You know, life has this funny thing. It will tempt you once in a while and say, why don't you do this? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that. They don't listen to that voice, and so that voice becomes fainter and fainter and fainter. I listen to that voice, and it's becoming stronger and stronger and stronger.
But you're so passionate about music, and yet you're working as an engineer too.
Yeah, I still have a business, yes. Yeah, but now I'm more or less a full-time musician. Because last year we got signed on by a record label, and so this is our job now. Actually, we've been paid a salary, and, you know, they're building us a studio, and they're investing in us and our new albums, etc., etc. So we are a proper, legitimate, signed-on rock band now. So I'm more of a musician now than anything else.
And about recording your albums, when you record them, do you do it live, or do you have it programmed and then you record it?
We are a very live band, actually. So everything is
What is the difference between having it programmed and then performing it live?
Most of the time, people use, this is just a terminology, but people use the term programming mostly for the drums. Live drums is a big pain because you've got a mic, 20, 13, almost 14, 15 mics. It's an acoustic instrument, alright, so the room is important, how the sound comes in a room is important. Capturing all these things takes a lot of time. Mixing and mastering it tomorrow will also take a lot of time. And so it is normally a pain to actually do a drum. A vocal, okay, TK, you cannot create a vocal with a keyboard today, but and so you do your vocals. But many a time bands because they're forced by budget or because they're forced by limitations, they will say, okay, we'll program the drums. Some of them will program the bass and some of them will program a lot of other things. It saves time in the studio. But what you are actually taking out of it is the live field. You know, you can program a drum and put it 4, 4, 4, 4 and it will be perfect. Somehow it doesn't sound as nice as a drummer hitting it once in a while being a little more loud and once in a while being a little less, a little shift there. It is that human element of the whole thing that, so we are a very live band. In fact, a lot of people say that our live shows are much better than the recording that we also do, so we're in that stage.
And what about your next album?
Yeah, we're working on the next album now, and
what is the theme?
The theme is actually that we're actually saying that music is graffiti without walls. You know what graffiti is, no? Something that you just paint on a wall and this thing. And so we're saying that music is actually graffiti without walls, because literally no walls, breaking down barriers between people, reaching and spreading. And in fact, next month we're releasing a new song. Amnesty International asked us to contribute a song called, the subject, they're coming up with a 50 artist compilation album, and the subject they said is peace. And so they asked us to contribute an album and a song, and we all sat together and said that now music for peace, and we came up with a song called The Tribes of Babel. You will be able to listen to it on March 1st, so everybody check it out. And what we were actually saying in that song is this. We were saying that, you know, just imagine a world where there's one song or one raga. Boring? You're a musician. Only one raga or only one song to sing. Boring? You prefer the differences?
Yeah.
Yeah? Everything. And so we are actually saying, how is it that we are able to say that I like many songs, I like many movies, whatever, etc., 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 but I want the next person to be just like me, speak the same language, bow to the same God, have the same belief systems, wear the same clothes. Too many of the problems in the world are happening because we are saying that that guy is not like me. We are saying that just imagine a world where all music was similar. The fact that that guy is not like you is what makes this world beautiful. And so the song is telling people that, you know, peace is about actually celebrating who you are and realizing that the other guy is in some way a fifth note of you, you know. There's that sa and pa, no? In some way he is exactly the fifth note of you, but he is his own beauty, you know. Together is where the harmony comes. I think music is always one of those forces that brings people together, because it's the harmonies that actually collect people together, you know. It is not that single voice, harmony, wow, one more harmony, wow, you know. It is something that brings people together. So we are saying that why don't you celebrate the fact that we are all slightly different as well.
And what about your next future? Apart from the upcoming album, what is it that you want to do to promote rock music?
Yeah, see, we are coming up with a lot of albums, and so that is always going to be our focus. The focus is always connection, actually. If you're a musician and if you're a live artist, it's the connection with people that actually gives you that high. Everything else is secondary to that whole thing. If you can stand on stage and play something or sing something, and you understand that that person over there understands exactly what you mean, and he feels exactly the way you feel, there's no better feeling than that. You will see an absolute stranger smile at you, an old man and an old woman, or somebody like that you don't know them, and yet you feel that connection. And that is the most beautiful thing. So for the rest of our lives, we are all planning to go on like this. And the one great thing about touring and playing is that you fall in love with people all over the world. They come there in droves, and you're a musician. And so we were once discussing that there is no other job that we know of where you can go, and after 1.5 hours, you can make 3,000, 10,000, 15,000 people happy. It's a blessing.
Absolutely.